Vasudeva para Veda, Vasudeva para Makaha, Vasudeva para Yoga, Vasudeva para Kriyaha, Vasudeva param Jnanam, Vasudeva param Tapaha, Vasudeva paro Dharmo, Vasudeva para Gati. So in the previous verses, we saw that one who is in the mode of goodness, he worships Vishnu. One who is in the mode of passion, he worships various demigods. One who is in the mode of ignorance worships the costly form of the demigods. Now, Vasudeva para Veda, Vasudeva para Makaha, Vasudeva para Yoga, Vasudeva para Kriya, Vasudeva param Jnanam, Vasudeva param Tapa, Vasudeva paro Dharma, Vasudeva para Gatihi. So what does the revealed scripture say? Vasudeva para Veda. The Vedas say Lord is the supreme or the ultimate goal. What does the sacrifice say? The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please him. That is what the sacrifices say. Vasudeva para yoga. Vasudeva para yoga. So what is the purpose of performing yoga? Why is yoga performed? To realize him. Okay, various asanas are there, everything is there, but realization of Lord is not there, then what is the use? The purpose of yoga is to realize him. Then, Vasudeva para yoga, Vasudeva para kriyaha. Then, why does a person perform the fruitive activities? Because, again, Vasudeva para kriyaha. It is only for offering the fruitive results. The fruitive results should be offered to him only. Here it is given all fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by him only. Yes, to realize that. And all the fruits are given by Krishna. Ultimately it goes to Krishna only. Then, Vasudeva param Jnanam. What is the purpose of having the knowledge? To understand he is a supreme knowledge. Then, Vasudeva param tapaha. Then, why a person is doing a lot of austerities, Jnanis do a lot of austerities to know him. Vasudeva paro dharmo. So, what should be our real duty? Dharma means duty, to render loving service to him. Vasudeva para gatihi. And that he is the goal of life, gatihi. Ultimately, one has to go back to Godhead. That is the gati. That is the laksha or the supreme goal of life. So it started with that only. Vasudeva para Veda, supreme goal of Vedas is to know him. Vasudeva para Gatihi, the supreme destination is to attain his lotus feet. Okay. Narayana read.
Vasudeva para Veda, Vasudeva para Makaha, Vasudeva para Yoga, Vasudeva para Kriyaha, Vasudeva param Jnanam, Vasudeva param Tapaha, Vasudeva paro Dharmo, Vasudeva para Gatihi. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace from Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please him. Yoga is for realizing him. All fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by him only. He is supreme knowledge, and all severe austerities are performed to know him. Religion, dharma, is rendering loving service unto him. He is the supreme goal of life. Purport: that Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is the only object of worship is confirmed in these two shlokas. In the Vedic literature, there is the same objective, establishing one's relationship and ultimately reviving our lost loving service unto him. That is the sum and substance of the Vedas. In the Bhagavad Gita, the same theory is confirmed by the Lord in his own words. the ultimate purpose of the Vedas is to know Him only. All the revealed scriptures are prepared by the Lord through His incarnation in the body of Srila Vyasadeva, just to remind the fallen souls conditioned by material nature of Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. No demigod can award freedom from the material bondage. That is the verdict of all Vedic literatures. Impersonalists who have no information of the personality of Godhead minimize the omnipotency of the Supreme Lord and put him on equal footing with all other living beings. And for this act, such impersonalists get freedom from material bondage only with great difficulty. They can surrender unto him only after many, many births in the culture of transcendental knowledge. One may argue that these Vedic activities are based on sacrificial ceremonies. That is true, but all such sacrifices are also meant for realizing the truth about Vasudev. Another name of Vasudev is Yajna, sacrifice. And in Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that all sacrifices and all activities are to be conducted for the satisfaction for the satisfaction of Yajna or Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. This is the
यज्ञार्थात् कर्मणोऽत्र लोकोऽयं कर्मबन्धनः तदर्थं कर्म कौन्तेय मुक्तसंग समाचर. 3.9 speaks about it. Everything should be done for him. Okay.
This is the case also with yoga systems. Just a minute, Mataji. Yoga means to get into touch with the Supreme Lord. The process, however, includes several bodily features such as asana, dhyana, pranayama, and meditation. And all of them are meant for concentrating upon the localized aspect of Vasudev, represented as Paramatma. Paramatma realization is but partial realization of Vasudev, and if one is successful in that attempt, one realizes Vasudev in full. But by ill luck, most yogis are stranded by the powers of mysticism achieved through the bodily process. Ill-fated yogis are given a chance in the next birth by being placed in the families of good learned brahmanas or in the families of rich merchants in order to execute the unfinished task of Vasudev realization.
So this
If
is also
such
given in Bhagavad Gita. Prapya punya kutam lokan ushitva shashvatim sama shushitam shrimatam gehe yoga bhrashta vijayati.
if such fortunate brahmanas and sons of rich men properly utilize the chance, they can easily realize Vasudev by good association with saintly persons. Unfortunately, such preferred persons are captivated again by material wealth and honor, and thus they practically forget the aim of life. This is also so for the culture of knowledge. According to Bhagavad Gita, there are 18 items in culturing knowledge. By such culture of knowledge, one becomes gradually prideless, devoid of vanity, non-violent, forbearing, simple, devoted to the great spiritual master, and self-controlled. By culture of knowledge, one becomes unattached to earth and home and becomes conscious of the miseries due to death, birth, old age, and disease. And all culture of knowledge culminates in the devotional service to the personality of Godhead, Vasudev. Therefore, Vasudev is the ultimate aim in culturing all different branches of knowledge. Culture of knowledge leading one to the transcendental plane of meeting Vasudev is real knowledge. Physical knowledge in its various branches is condemned in the Bhagavad Gita as ajnana or opposite of real knowledge. The ultimate aim of physical knowledge is to satisfy the senses, which means prolongation of the term of material existence and thereby continuance of the threefold miseries. So, prolonging the miserable life of material existence is nescience. But the same physical knowledge leading to the way of spiritual understanding helps one to end the miserable life of physical existence and to begin the life of spiritual existence on the plane of Vasudev. The same applies to all kinds of austerities. Tapasya means voluntary acceptance of bodily pains to achieve some higher end of life. Ravana, Ravan and Hiranyakashipu underwent a severe type of bodily torture to achieve the end of sense gratification. Sometimes modern politicians also undergo severe type of austerity to achieve some political end. This is not actually tapasya. One should accept voluntary bodily inconvenience for the sake of knowing Vasudev because that is the way of real austerities. Otherwise, all forms of austerities are classified as modes of passion and ignorance. Passion and ignorance cannot end the miseries of life. Only the mode of goodness can mitigate the threefold miseries of life. Vasudev and Devaki, the so-called father and mother of Lord Krishna, underwent penances to get Vasudev as their son. Lord Sri Krishna is the father of all living beings. Therefore, he is the original living being of all other living beings. He is the original eternal enjoyer amongst all other enjoyers. Therefore, no one can be his begetting father as the ignorant may think. Lord Sri Krishna agreed to become the son of Vasudeva and Devaki upon being pleased with their severe austerities. Therefore, if any austerity have to be done, they must be done to achieve the end of knowledge, Vasudeva. Vasudev is the original personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. As explained before, the original personality of Godhead expands himself by innumerable forms. Such expansion of forms is made possible by his various energies. His energies are also multifarious, and his internal energies are superior and external energies inferior in quality. They are explained in Bhagavad Gita 7.4 to 6 as the para and apara prakritis. So, his expansions of various forms which take place via the internal energies are superior forms, whereas the expansions which take place via the external energies are inferior forms. The living entities are also his expansions. The living entities who are expanded by his internal potency are eternally liberated persons, whereas those who are expanded in terms of the material energies are eternally conditioned souls. Therefore, all culture of knowledge, austerities, sacrifice, and activities should be aimed at changing the quality of the influence that is acting upon us. For the present, we are all being controlled by the external energy of the Lord, and just to change the quality of influence, we must endeavor to cultivate spiritual energy. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that those who are Mahatmas or those whose minds have been so broadened as to be engaged in the service of Lord Krishna are under the influence of the internal potency, and the effect is that such broad minded living beings are constantly engaged in the service of the Lord without deviation. That should be the aim of life, and that is the verdict of all the Vedic literatures. No one should bother himself with fruitive activities or dry speculation about transcendental knowledge. Everyone should at once engage himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Nor should one worship different demigods who work as different hands of the Lord for creation, maintenance, or destruction of the material world. There are innumerable powerful demigods who look over the external management of the material world. They are all different assisting hands of Lord Vasudeva. Even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are included in the lists of demigods, but Lord Vishnu or Vasudev is always transcendently situated. Even though he accepts the quality of goodness of the material world, he is still transcendental to all material modes. The following example will clear that matter more explicitly. In the prison house, there are prisoners and the managers of the prison house. Both the managers and the prisoners are bound by the laws of the king. But even though the king sometimes comes in the prison, he is not bound by the laws of the prison house. The king is therefore always transcendental to the laws of the prison house, as the Lord is always transcendental to the laws of material world.
So Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanvan Man Prapate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. And who is a Mahatma? Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Daivim Prakriti Mashita. Daivim Prakriti Mashita. He has taken the shelter of the internal potency of Lord. Jiva Shakti is also counted in the internal potency only. Apareyam itastvanyam Prakriti Vidhi Me Param Jiva Bhuta Mahabhav. Edam Dhariti Jatat. Krishna is telling this. The 7th chapter. Bhumira Ponalo Vayu Khammano Buddhi Revacha. So all these things are Jadavastu. But Krishna, even the Jivatma is also internal potency. It comes in internal potency. So when it comes to Parabrahman, Jiva Brahman, Jada Brahman. So Parabrahman, if the Jiva Shakti, that is marginal potency, takes shelter of Parabrahman and understand that he is the ultimate goal, then that is the real meaning of liberation. Mukti Tvanyatha Rupam Sarupena Vyavastiti. Now understanding Vasudeva is everything. What is the meaning of Vasudeva? Vishuddha Sattvam Vasudeva Shaktitam. Vishuddha Sattvam. Vishuddha Sattvam means Lord is completely pure. Vishuddha. Vishesha Rupena Shuddha. Vishuddha Sattvam Vasudeva Shaktitam. Is the most purest, or you can say he is completely pure. Then another meaning of Vasudeva, Vasati iti sarvatra Vasudeva. He is present everywhere. The form of Brahman. Sarvam iti vasati Vasudeva. He is present in everyone's heart. So now, for a yogi, how he does tapasya on the super soul. Now, who is that super soul? Vasudeva. Now, Jnanis, they meditate on the Brahman form. Now, what is a Brahman? Jada Brahman, Jiva Brahman, whatever it is. They meditate on the Brahman. Am Brahmasmi, that's Sarvam Kalidam Brahman. In that also, what has been given? That for doing that, he does a lot of tapasya. So all this tapasya is to attain him. Vasudeva Param Jnanam, Vasudevam Param Tapah. Kriya, yoga, kriya, you do whatever. But that is, so first line is for the karmis. Second line is for the yogis. Third line is for the jnanis. And fourth line is for the bhakta. Vasudeva Paro Dharmo, Vasudeva Parakati. So a karmi, makha means yajna. When a karmi does yajna, he does yajna from where? Whatever is mentioned in the Vedas. So the purpose of doing the yajna is to attain him. What's the purpose of doing the kriya? Who does the kriya? A yogi does the kriya. What is the purpose? To attain him. What's the purpose of doing so much of tapasya? Jnani does again to attain him. What is the purpose of, what is the goal of life? To achieve his lotus feet. So who has taken that responsibility? Dharmo. That is a devotee. Devotee takes the personal responsibility of serving the Lord. Okay. So in this, 4 types of people have been spoken. Karmi, yogi, jnani, bhakta. Saivedam sasarjagre bhagavan atmamaya sadasatrupaya chaso gunamayo aguno vibhu. Saivedam sasarjagre bhagavan atmamaya Bhagavan Mayang Sad Asad Rupaya Chaso Sad Asad Rupaya Chaso Gulamayo Agula Vibhu Gulamayo Agula Vibhu. Now, Sa Evedam Sa Eva Idam. Idam means this material cosmic manifestation. Sasarjaga. Before even creating this, the beginning, you can say, the beginning of the creation. Agre. Agre means in the beginning. Bhagavan Atma Maya. How Lord appears? By his transcendental or personal potency. Now what he has done? Sat Asat. There is a cause, there is an effect. What is the cause of a mango tree? What's the cause of a mango tree? Seed, isn't it? And then again, the seed is the effect of the mango tree. The cause and the effect, both has been put. So he has created this whole material nature. Asaho gulamayo agulaha vibhu. Lord is agulaha. Lord is not affected by these three modes of material nature. He is completely transcendental. But this cause and the effect are because of the different energies that has been given. Gulamayo, in the modes of material nature. When you say material world, naturally it is influenced by the material nature. But how is Lord? Lord is transcendental to this material nature. So what he has created, how he has created? He has created this material world by his own internal potency. So in this way, he has given the cause and the effect. ठीक है. स एवेदम ससर जागरे भगवान आत्म माया सद असद रूपाय चासो गुणमयो अगुणो विभु. Krishna is Vibhu, Vibhu Atma. Omnis, you can say infinite. So he is Vibhu Atma and he is above the three modes of material nature, but still he has created a wonderful material world where cause and the effect has been given because of the gunas. Like Sato Guna has an influence. So what is the cause? Sato Guna is the cause. Some type of effect you see. What is the cause? Immediately you can say it is Rajas. Like the question of Arjuna was, what impels a person to do sinful activity? What is the cause? Kamesha Krodesha Rajoguna Samudbhava. Mahashano Mahapapa Vidyanam Ihavairinam. So what is the cause of all these activities which are done even after knowing the effect? The cause is the lust. And the lust is because of passion. That means in this material world, cause and the effect has been given. Or whatever creation is there because of passion dash. What is the effect? Passion dash. But is Lord affected? No. He is aguna within. Okay? There's Saga Prabhu read.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Sevedam sasarjagre Bhagavan Atma Mayaya Sadasadrupaya Chasau Gunamayo Aguno Vibhuhu. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In the beginning of material creation, the absolute personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, in his transcendental position, created the energies of cause and effect by his own internal energy. Purport. The position of the Lord is always transcendental because the causal and effectual energies required for the creation of the material world were also created by him. He is unaffected, therefore, by the qualities of the material modes. His existence, form, activities, and paraphernalia all existed before the material creation. He is all spiritual and has nothing to do with the qualities of the material world, which are qualitatively distinct from the spiritual qualities of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Okay, next. Taya vileshiteshu, taya vilasita, taya vilasiteshveshu, guneshu gulavan ivam. Antah pravishta abhati, vijnanena vijrumbitah. Taya vilasiteshu, taya vilasiteshveshu, guneshu gulavan ivam. Antah pravishta abhati, vijnanena vijrumbitah. Taya vilasiteshveshu, yeshah. Taya vilasiteshveshu, guneshu gunavan iva. Guneshu means this material world is having this material modes. So now what Lord does? Gunavan. Gunavan means the whole material world is affected by the modes of material nature. Antah pravishta abhati. The Lord enters this material world. Then abhati. He appears to be one among the created beings. That is why many people think Krishna is a human. Namam dushkritana mudha prapadya. What is the words? Mudoyam nabhijanati. Mudoyam nabhijanati. These mudas can never understand me. They think me as a human. So when he enters, he appears to be one of the living entity. And then Vijnanena vijrumbitah. So in this way, because he understands the position of Lord, he is always enlightened in a transcendental position. Before that, what happens? He thinks, what he thinks? That Lord is one of the created beings. But then he understands that Lord has expanded himself. He has entered in the creation. He is not affected by the creation. Okay? Read. Vandana Mataji, read.
Hare Krishna. Taya vilasiteshu guneshu gunavaniva antah pravishta abhati. Antah pravishta abhati vijnanena vijrumbitah. Translation. After creating the material substance, the Lord Vasudeva expands himself and enters into it. And although he is within the material modes of nature and appears to be one of the created beings, he is always fully enlightened in his transcendental position. Purport. The living entities are separated part and parcel of Lord, and the conditioned living entities who are unfit for the spiritual kingdom are strewn within the material world to enjoy matter to the fullest extent as the Paramatma and the eternal friend of living entities. The Lord, by one of his plenary portions, accompanies the living entity to guide them in their material enjoyment and to become witness to all activities. While the living entities enjoy the material conditions, the Lord maintains his transcendental position without being affected by material atmosphere. In the Vedic literature, Shruti, it is said that there are two birds in one tree. One of them is eating the fruit of the tree, while the other is witnessing the action. The witness is the Lord, and the fruit eating is the living entity. The fruit eater, living entity, has forgotten his real identity and is overwhelmed in the fruitive activities of material conditions. But the Lord, Paramatma, is always full in transcendental knowledge. That is difference between the super soul and the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul, the living entity, is controlled by the laws of nature, while Paramatma is the controller of the material energy. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Yatha yhavito varne, yatha yhavito varne, darushve kashayo nishu, darushve kashay ekasvayo nishu, naneva bhati vishvatma, bhuteshu cha tatha puman. Now, how the fire is there in the wood? Darushu, Vahani means fire. In the same way, Lord is present. He avitaha, yatha hi avitaha. Comparison is there. Naneva bhati vishwatma. In every living entity, who is staying? Vishwatma is Paramatma. Bhuteshu cha tatha puman. So Lord is the absolute Puman, and He is one without a second. He is that one person who is present in everyone's heart. Okay? Gajendra Sutta Prabhu.
यथा हि अवितो बहि दारुस्व एकस्व योनिषु मनेव भाति विश्वात्मा भूतेषु च तथा पुमान्. Translation by Srila Prabhupada.
So much of disturbance, Prabhuji. Unmute yourself first. Unmute.
Hare Krishna.
I think a lot of disturbance is there. Somebody else can read. Adi Satviki Mataji, you read.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Read.
Yatha.
No, you read only the purport.
Oh,
Read
okay.
the purport.
Okay. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Lord as super soul pervades all things, just as fire permits wood, and so he appears to be the many varieties, though he is the absolute one without a second. Purport. Lord Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by one of his plenary parts, expands himself all over the material world, and his existence can be perceived even within the atomic energy. Matter, antimatter, proton, neutron, etc. are all different effects of the Paramatma feature of the Lord. As from wood, fire can be manifested, or as butter can be churned out of milk, so also the presence of the Lord as Paramatma can be felt by the process of legitimate hearing and chanting of the transcendental subjects, which are especially treated in the Vedic literatures like the Upanishads and Vedanta. Srimad Bhagavatam is the bona fide explanation of these Vedic literatures. The Lord can be realized through the actual reception of the transcendental message. And that is the only way to experience the transcendental subject. As fire is kindled from wood by another fire, the divine consciousness of man can similarly be kindled by another divine grace. His divine grace, the spiritual master, can kindle the spiritual fire from the wood-like living entity by imparting proper spiritual messages injected through the receptive ear. Therefore, one is required to approach the proper spiritual master with receptive ears only, and thus divine existence is gradually realized. The difference between animality and humanity lies in this process only. A human being can hear properly, whereas an animal can.
Cannot.
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Okay. असौ गुणमयैर्मा असौ गुणमयैर्भावैर् भूतसूक्ष्मेन्द्रियात्मभिः स्वनिर्मितेषु निर्विष्टो भुङ्क्ते भूतेषु तत्पुरान् असौ गुणमयैर्भावैर् भूतसूक्ष्मेन्द्रियात्मभिः स्वनिर्मितेषु निर्विष्टो भुङ्क्ते भूतेषु तत्पुरान्. Mute yourself, Mataji.
I'm sorry. Yes, yes.
असौ
Yes.
गुणमयैर्भावैर् भूतसूक्ष्मेन्द्रियात्मभिः स्वनिर्मितेषु निर्विष्टो भुङ्क्ते भूतेषु तद्गुणान्. Now, असौ गुणमयैर्भावैर् भूतसूक्ष्मेन्द्रियात्मभिः स्वनिर्मितेषु निर्विष्टो भुङ्क्ते भूतेषु तद्गुणान्. So now this Gunamayi, who is affected by this Gunamayi? That is a living entities. They are influenced. Living entities are influenced by the three modes of material existence. So now what Lord does? Nirvishtaha. Nirvishtaha means he enters. Where? Sarnirmiteshu. Nirvishtaha sarvinirmiteshu. He is entering his own creation. He is entering the bodies of the created beings. And then what is he doing? Bhunkte bhuteshu tadgunan. And in this way, he allows them to enjoy the effects of their own modes. Now, because Lord is there, we are enjoying even the effects of the modes. And Satoguna has some effects, Rajoguna has effects, Tamoguna has effects. Now, what is the effect of Tamoguna? Too much of sleep. Now then, this is Lord who is making a person enjoy the effects of the three modes of material nature. By what? By mind. By the mind, a person is enjoying. Like Rajas has the habit of taking very spicy, pungent. So that is the effect of Rajas. Who is allowing that to enjoy? It's Krishna. Padrashta anumantacha. Bharta bhukta maheshwara. So Krishna says, okay, enjoy with your subtle mind. But the creation is done by Lord only. And even though he is doing, he is allowing the person to enjoy. He is allowing the living entity to enjoy the effects. Whatever effects come, okay, enjoy. Okay. Krishna Priya Mataji, read.
Krishna Mataji, Dandat Asau Gunamayirbhavir Bhuta Sukshmendriyatmabhihi Svanirmiteshu Nirvishto Bhunte Bhuteshu Tadgunan. Translation. The Supersoul enters into the bodies of the created beings who are influenced by the modes of material nature and causes them to enjoy the effects of these modes by the subtle mind. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. There are 8,400,000 species of living beings, beginning from the highest intellectual being, Brahma, down to the insignificant ant, and all of them are enjoying the material world according to the desires of the subtle mind and the gross material body. The gross material body is based on the conditions of the subtle mind, and the senses are created according to the desire of the living being. The Lord as Paramatma helps the living being to get material happiness because the living being is helpless in all respect in obtaining what he desires. He proposes and the Lord disposes. In another sense, the living beings are parts and parcel of the Lord. They are therefore one with the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, the living beings in all varieties of bodies have been claimed by the Lord as his sons. The sufferings and enjoyments of the sons are indirectly the sufferings and enjoyments of the father. Still, the father is not in any way affected directly by the suffering and indirectly the suffering and enjoyment of the father. Still, the father is not in any way affected directly by the suffering and enjoyment of the sons. He is so kind that he constantly remains with the living being as Paramatma and always tries to convert the living being towards the real happiness. Hare Krishna.
Last verse. This is the answer for the third question of the sages of Naimisharya. What was the third question? Devakyam Vasudevasya Jato Yasya Chikirshah. Devakyam Vasudevasya. Why is it that Lord is born as a son of Vasudev and Devaki? Then the answer to that is Lord appears. Why? He can appear anywhere. He can appear in the family of demigods or the lower or in the family of men, because he has to reclaim. He has to perform the pastimes. He has to reclaim the devotees. Bhavayatesha satvena lokan vailoka bhavana leela avatara nirto devataryan naradishu. Bhavayatesha satvena lokan vailoka bhavana leela avatara nirto devataryan naradishu. Bhavayatesha satvena. He appears to maintain satvena, the people in the mode of goodness. Lokan vai loka bhavana. In this way, he is a master of everyone, master of the universe. Leela avatara nurto. He is performing various wonderful leelas. And then, Deva Teriyan Naradishu. So in this way, sometimes he appears in the family of demigods, Bali Maharaj. Vamana in the family of demigods. Then in the family of men, Ikshvaku Parivar, Prabhu Ram, the family of lower animals, Varaha, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha. It appears. But the purpose is what? He can appear anywhere. Why only Devaki and Vasudev's son? He can appear anywhere. That is just to protect the devotees and then to take the bhara, lokan vai loka bhavana, to show to everyone that he is the master of the universe. Okay, last verse. We'll read. Anupama Mataji, read.
Mataji, I cannot read. Sorry, I'm outside.
Okay,
traveling.
don't read. Vaishnav Gaur Prabhu, read.
Hare Krishna.
Vaishnav, yeah, read.
Bhavyetesh satvena lokan
Bhavayatyesha, bhavayatyesha, bhavayatyesha. Bhave, don't say bhavayat. Bhavayat.
Bhavyatesh
Yesha
satvena
satvena.
lokan velok bhavanah leelavataranurato devatriyan naradishu. Translation and purport. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus, the Lord of universes maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men and lower animals. Assuming the roles of incarnations, he performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. Purport. There are innumerable material universes, and in each and every universe, there are innumerable planets inhabited by different grades of living entities in different modes of nature. The Lord, Vishnu, incarnates himself in each and every one of them and in each and every type of living society. He manifests his transcendental pastimes amongst them just to create the desire to go back to Godhead. The Lord does not change his original transcendental position, but he appears to be differently manifested according to the particular time, circumstances, and society. Sometimes he incarnates himself or empowers a suitable living being to act for him. But in either case, the purpose is the same. The Lord wants the suffering living beings to go back home, back to Godhead. The happiness which the living beings are hankering for is not to be found within any corner of the innumerable universes and material planets. The eternal happiness which the living being wants is obtainable in the kingdom of God. But the forgetful living beings under the influence of the material modes have no information of the kingdom of God. The Lord therefore comes to propagate the message of the kingdom of God, either personally as an incarnation or through his bona fide representative as the good Son of God. Such incarnations or sons of God are not making propaganda for going back to Godhead only within the human society. Their work is also going on in all types of societies, amongst demigods and those other than human beings. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled
Okay.
Divinity and Divine Service. Hare Krishna.
Divinity and divine service. We will stop. We'll start chapter 3 on Thursday. Any questions based on this? No questions? Okay. If somebody has a question. Who has? Okay, Manoj Jha Prabhu, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah.
Mataji, as stated in Bhagavad Gita also, and again repeated in Srimad Bhagavatam, like it is said that if a person does devotional service and he again and he doesn't reach his destination, he again takes rebirth in a Brahmana family or in a rich family. Now, Mataji, my question is, if a person is rich, then he's again bound by the Maya Devi. Again into the material bondage and lust. And if he doesn't do bhakti, again he is bound by the karma cycle. Now, again, how he will be free from this cycle? If he doesn't
Now it is
know,
up to him whether to
if
use
he doesn't
richness or
remember
not.
how
It's
to
not
do bhakti.
it's not necessary a devotee should be always poor. Purushekhar Alvar, king. Now, etat pratyam mama bahumatam janma janmantarepi. So he says, if I am getting this, okay, let it be. I'll use it in Krishna's service. What is the problem? Prapya punya kutam lokan ushitva shashvatim samah shuchinam srimatam ge. If he is rich, good, he can donate. If he is a king, he will donate land. What is the problem? Being rich is not a problem. What is your consciousness that matters?
But the percentage is
What's the problem?
is very less now, Mataji. Rich persons being
What is your problem?
then
It is up
again
to
he will be
Krishna.
bound by the karma
What is
cycle.
what is your problem? Have you taken the responsibility of all rich people? It is Krishna and the consciousness which Krishna wants to
No,
give him.
Mataji.
What is your problem? What is your problem? If a person is rich and he is
No,
trained
Mataji, my
1 minute, if he is trained in Krishna consciousness, nicely, what is your problem? He can be Shuchinam Srimati. Krishna is saying, it is not I or you. Krishna says, if a person has done some devotional service and he has not completed it, he will get these benefits. And now it is up to him. He can utilize these benefits. Suppose somebody is very educated, he can utilize his education in Krishna consciousness. What is your question? First, be clear with that question. What is your question? First?
My question is, due to his past devotional service, either he should get birth in Brahmana family or in rich family. Now, if
Not
he
only
gets birth in
that,
a rich family, and if he doesn't do,
then he says Dvija, but
and
he
if he
has
doesn't
got
do devotional service, then again he is bound by the karma cycle.
See one thing, remember that verse. Neha vikramana shosti pratyavayo na vidyate. Swalpamapyasa dharmasya trayate mahatvavar. It is Krishna's responsibility to make him do. He will not do. Who are you to say that? He has done it. That is why he has got the merits. He will again do. Because even if a person has done small thing, he is going to do it. 1% done is 1% done. He is going to do with second person. Krishna has told. It is not necessary that every Brahmana is born in that particular family. It's only because of Yoga Brashta Vijayate. Understand it? Even if he has done some pious activity, then also he will get that. Not that every rich man is Yoga Brashta Vijayate. Understand it very nicely. If suppose somebody has done a lot of pious activity, then also he will get a Brahmana family or a very rich family. At that time he is deviated. Suppose he has got these merits because of doing devotion, and in that he has lost for some time, he may get it. Again, he will do it only because Neha Vikramana Ashwasti is given. Na? We should take into consideration that verse also. Now, a person has got a good family, a rich family, or a Brahmana family. There are two ways of getting. Either you do a lot of pious activity or Yoga Bhrashta Vijay. You understanding? All of you are understanding? Either two ways of getting it. If a person is getting it because of pious activity, not necessary that he has to take up devotional service until unless he comes in contact with a devotee. Not necessary. If pious activity has nothing to do with devotional service, simple. Sukruti is needed. And if he has done some in the past and Krishna has awarded him, it is Krishna's responsibility to take him back to Godhead. That is why don't generalize. Every intelligent people is because of Yoga Bhrashta Vijayate. Pious activities also gets results. Na? A Jnani, a Tapasvi, they also get some results. No? Okay.
Mataji, Hare Krishna Mataji. According to text number 34, I'm just wondering, when Krishna advents, he only reclaims the higher class devotees, like in the mode of pure goodness. So what happens to the lower class like me? So I get
He maintains, first thing, he maintains all the living entities.
Right.
Then he reclaims. Then he gives a person like me who has Yoga Bhrashta Vijayate. And he will give opportunity. It is Krishna's responsibility. So it is not just immediately in this birth. It may take various births. What is the problem?
Yes.
But it is a duty of Krishna. It is his duty to give devotional service and take the devotee back to Godhead. It can be in any lifetime.
Right. Yes. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Vaishnava Gaur Prabhu.
Mataji, just extending what Adi Sattvi Mataji is saying, Krishna may not be reclaiming people like me, but he is sending the spiritual master to reclaim us. Na? So by directly,
he is reclaiming only, na? He is directly, indirectly.
So that's what I mean. He in this verse he might be writing. Prabhupada might be explaining that directly he is only reclaiming the higher people, but indirectly also because like you told earlier also that he is maintaining all the living entities. So reclaiming mind cannot be taken in the literal meaning. He is actually. But he has to maintain the free will of every living entity. So there the problem starts when we misuse the free will. Otherwise, he is reclaiming each and every one, I think. Means what
according to everyone's karma. According to everyone's karma. Krishna is not responsible to anyone's karma. If a person wants to do deeper devotion, he is ready to give. If a person wants to get rid of him, he is ready to get rid of that person also. But still Krishna maintains. Krishna provides everything, even to a person who doesn't have any faith in it. Is he stopping air, water? He's providing everything. Even he's providing the facility to use the free will. Okay. So stop here. Panchakalpatarubhyasya pasandudevacha pavitanam pavanubhyasya